Hello and welcome to the Built on Air podcast. Built on Air is a regular podcast where we talk with everyday people and learn about the amazing things they are doing with Airtable. Today's podcast is sponsored by OpenSide, the leading solutions provider for Airtable customers. Check out openside.com to learn more about their products and services that can take your Airtable usage to the next level. Use promo code BuiltOnAir to receive $20 towards any product purchase. In this episode, we travel to Germany to chat with Tobi Troendle, strategy consultant and business developer. Having worked for both international corporations and local startups, Tobi is well equipped toward helping entrepreneurs achieve their goals. After discovering Airtable, Tobi wanted to spread the word across Europe and help others to harness the power that it can provide. So he set to work and created the Airtable Academy, a comprehensive online course that teaches users the ins and outs of Airtable, plus how to use Zapier to automate workflows. Check out the show notes for a special discount link for Built on Air listeners. Today, Tobi shares with us a creative and easy way to pull Excel files out of Airtable using an app called Parabola. As Tobi demonstrates, Parabola allows you to pull all of the data from a table at once and manipulate your fields so that only the columns you want remain. You can even reorder the columns before exporting. His workflow includes an added bonus for European users, European currency formatting. Hi, Tobi. Thank you for joining us today on Built on Air.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So you are joining us from Germany today, correct?
That's right. Yes, from the south of Germany.
That's awesome. So why don't we start a little bit, just who you are and what you do?
Sure. So I started my career with IBM, the big IT company, and was in consulting there first. And I really liked consulting, but I also wanted to see the industry side afterwards. So I worked for a short time for an industry company producing seals. And then I went back to consulting, especially around digitization. And there I saw what power IT really can have in companies, and also in old established companies who are often too slow nowadays against the small little lean startups. And so when I experienced that, I thought there must be more ways to bring great and modern IT and little tools and solutions also to these old companies. And I think it was in January I joined an industry company again. Now I'm working for a toy producer in Germany, and we produce lots of different toys there. And the company has a long history, which is really great. But as old as the history is, there are also parts of the IT. And so I started looking for solutions, especially how to optimize all our workflows we have there. And that's how I found Airtable. And
the rest was history.
yes, right. And so I started using Airtable probably around 2 months ago. And since that, we started applying it to more and more aspects of our business. And because it's so flexible, and we are now using it for pricing, for example, because we have different price lists for all the international subsidiaries we have, and so each price list is in Airtable now. And also we start bringing all our product data in there because it's great for that as well. And I also plan to use it as a CRM system in the future as well.
Absolutely. No, it's just so cool how it can fit all of those different products or projects and themes and anything. I mean, it's really just a one-size-fits-all tool.
That's right.
So only 2 months ago, you started using Airtable, and you already have a Udemy course on it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I really got hooked on it. And I thought it's so great. And not sure how it is in the US, but I think there it's already more popular. And all the time when I tell my friends about it and say, hey, have you heard about it? And nobody has heard about it. And but everybody is excited about it as soon as you show it to them. And so I really want to help make it more popular, especially in Europe, where nobody knows about it yet. But I'm pretty sure that that will change over the next few years. And yeah, so it was basically a need from lots of my colleagues in my company who I wanted to bring onto Airtable, and also from some friends who asked me then, oh, how can I do this and that? And so I thought, well, why not make a course about it? And I spent a couple of weekends on it, and produced a little course on Udemy, which is now live since 2 weeks, and my first online course, which is pretty exciting as well.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That definitely is something needed. I mean, I think that the documentation that Airtable has is really geared a lot towards creating and like the linking relationships, and not necessarily towards using it and navigating the base. So
that's right. That's right. And especially also, I think Airtable has such a great potential in terms of workflow automatization. If you hook it up to Zapier or other solutions, and that's also something that, of course, isn't in the Airtable documentation, but it has so much potential, and therefore Airtable also gets so much more powerful. And that's what I also wanted to show in this course.
no, that's awesome. That's just super cool. And so when you brought it onto your new company 2 months ago, did you have any resistance, or was everybody kind of just jumping right on board?
Well, of course, there's always a lot of resistance when you bring on new tools, especially to people who are basically used to using Microsoft Excel for everything, and not even the new 365 version, but the old versions. Of course, there is a really big shift that you always have to open up your browser if you want to access your data, and you can't just write in each cell and have sometimes formulas for whole columns and stuff like that. So it really needs a change in the mindset, and yeah, therefore it was quite essential to have this course as well, to introduce people to how Airtable really works and how you can get the most out of it. And yeah, so slowly I'm getting people there, and as soon as people then start realizing what else it can do for them, then that's really always a great moment when you see how they get hooked on it as well, and start using it for their own projects.
Exactly. Yeah, I've loved that in my workplace as well. Most people are like, well, I don't even want to go back to using whatever else we were doing before. Like, can we move this to Airtable too?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing as well all the time, and yeah, wishes get bigger and bigger, and I believe I already got some colleagues who would like to move the whole company into Airtable. And the great thing is it would probably work quite well, because Airtable is so capable that you can do almost everything in it.
Exactly. Now, I'm interested if you have seen like a difference between working for a smaller company and a larger company like IBM, and the sorts of challenges that you're facing with those, and how Airtable kind of fits into solving those problems. Are you seeing
Sure.
any similarities?
Yeah, definitely. Because the great thing first about the small companies is that you're really a lot faster, and you also have a lot more decision power yourself, because there aren't as many people around that you need to ask about anything, or if you can do it or not. Like in my example, I could just start using Airtable, and then when it got bigger, I went to our IT once and asked them, hey, is it okay from in terms of data security and stuff? But that was everything. So, and I believe I couldn't have implemented Airtable into IBM in a couple of days. So from that perspective, it's really nice to work for smaller companies if you really want to create yourself. And I believe a lot of people are in these small companies who really like to create their own solutions, and don't like to stick to processes that much. And therefore, Airtable is a great enabler, because I think it's really the tool of creators, and it's especially for those people who want to build their own solution and don't use a solution they just purchase and then use how the solution wants them to use it. So therefore, I think it's really great to have tools like it now, and I really think it will be the next kind of software revolution we see after tools like Slack and Airtable that came out in like Slack and Trello. I meant that came out around 2010 to 12, I think, when they got popular. But since then, not a lot has happened in the area of business software tools. And now with Airtable, Notion, Coda, and stuff like that, I think we're really seeing the next level happening there.
Exactly. It's giving the power of these powerful tools to these small businesses, because you don't necessarily need to understand a lot about IT to use them.
Yes, definitely, and that's a great thing about it, and that's also how I can use it in my organization, because I have a lot of people there who didn't study anything with IT and who are quite far away from technology otherwise. But as easy as it is now, really everyone can use it and can learn it in only a couple of days.
Exactly. So what would you say is the biggest challenge you've faced so far in taking your company onto Airtable?
Well, there are a lot of challenges coming with it. One is, of course, still interfaces, and that's not a problem of Airtable, because Airtable has one of the best interfaces and APIs I have seen so far. But all the old legacy systems you use in a company, they don't have the modern interfaces that you can just hook them up to Airtable. So that's a big problem, and also for us in Europe, there's still a lot of localization missing in Airtable. So in my company, it's quite good because almost everybody speaks English, so that's fine. But a lot of people are already asked me, "Hey, can we use Airtable in German or from our other subsidiaries in France or so?" And it's not there in other languages, and then that goes also on to other factors. So, for example, one of the biggest localization issues I'm facing at the moment is I mentioned already that I brought all of the prices into Airtable we have in our company. And but in Europe, we use a different decimal separator. So we have the comma instead of a dot. And of course, there's no way in Airtable to change it, and that really drove me crazy for a long time until I found a solution for that one. And it involves many steps, but at least you can do it. And so it's these little challenges you have all the time. But the good thing about it is most of the time you can find a solution how to work with it then.
Exactly, and they're sometimes coming out with solutions here and there to help that along. So hopefully someday they will come out with a decimal toggle or something.
Yeah. It wouldn't be that hard. I mean, I believe it was in the last newsletter that came out this week. They introduced paragraph styling, and that you now can sign up for the beta version. And I played a little bit around with it, even in the survey form they put on it, and it looks great so far. And I believe it cannot be much harder to add other features like that into the cells there.
Exactly. No, I'm very excited about the rich text formatting too. That's something people have been asking for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely.
It's again one of these features that will make Airtable so much more useful again. So I really hope that they go on with these kinds of features that really bring the users forward as well. And maybe one day they will even introduce portals, which I'm really hoping for, that they will bring stuff like this to Airtable.
Absolutely. And we just did an episode on Airportal. I don't know if you had looked at that at all.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I was also part of the beta testing group there, and that's really an awesome tool as well. I'm already excited to work with that, and I really hope that Airtable won't shut it down or anything, because it's such a great tool, and and maybe also that's a solution that more independent developers start building onto Airtable, because I think they did a really great job with Airportal, and So if we have such solutions, then that's fine as well, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely something that's been needed for a long time. But maybe it'll make them pay attention a little bit.
Hopefully, yes.
Absolutely. So, do you have any like upcoming things you're going to be working on with Airtable?
Yeah, definitely. So I think in terms of the company I'm working for, I'm currently really looking into how I can build a CRM system, and that's the use case where I will probably also start working with Airportal to make it easier accessible for everyone, and also for field sales reps who aren't in the office every day and who cannot come to my desk all the time and ask me how does this work or does that work. So it really needs to be intuitive, and therefore we will work with Airportal then. And yeah, so that's the main company project I'm currently looking forward to. And then additionally, I'm already looking into it, how I can bring out more videos on automation and how to combine Airtable with other tools, and also enrich the Udemy course I just started even more. Because I think that's really how you can get Airtable in the hands of as many people as possible. If you show them how they can use it, and show all the great use cases and possibilities you have with Airtable.
Exactly. And I have to thank you for doing that, because I also think that's just one of the great things about the Airtable community, is that everybody is so interested in helping each other, and to
That's
get it
right. Yes.
exactly.
Yeah,
You just want everyone
that's
to
so
know how
great. I was really impressed when I first started with Airtable, and so I think I started mainly with the Facebook groups, because there are two Facebook groups which are massively helpful, and especially the people in there. You can ask any question you have, and no matter how dumb it might seem to you, there's always a kind person who answers everything. And yeah, that's really helpful. And also the Airtable community they have on their website. I really like this one as well, because there also you get help to all the questions you have basically. But yeah, I still think, for example, there isn't enough content on YouTube and other video streaming platforms, for example, because a lot of people look there for tutorials and stuff. And I mean, there is the really great channel of Garrett Cronenberg,
yes.
who's probably one of the heroes in the Airtable community. And I learned a lot from him and watching his tutorials there. Yeah, and I think then it needs to be a lot more content like this. And I'm always excited each week when his new video comes out to see what else is possible. And yeah, I would love to see even more of that coming up there.
Yeah, exactly. No, Gareth has a lot of great content. He definitely has been very helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah, and a really good way to explain also, which is also nice.
Absolutely. And I'm excited. I definitely want to take a look at your course as well, because I think the more and more perspectives that are out there, I think makes it easier, obviously, for everybody to learn. And that's just so helpful. It's something I've been wanting to do as well, to try and help at least, I mean, people even within like my 9-to-5 job, on how to understand how to use Airtable and what they're actually looking at and what the blue little rectangle means.
Yeah, therefore it's really helpful to have all these resources around it. And yeah, I think also there we need a lot more languages and stuff where all the content is available, so that more people can start using it. But I really believe it's on a good way, because you can see there's a lot of drive in this community, and I think that's also great that there are so many people who want to help really making Airtable more popular. And I think that's a big milestone for a company like Airtable to having something like that achieved already, that they have users as their advocates who basically do the marketing for them.
That's so true. Yeah, I mean, if they've created a product that people love, and that's really all they need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I'm interested what other kinds of apps you're connecting Airtable with. Is there anything in particular that has been extraordinarily helpful?
Yes, definitely. So, of course, the one thing I'm using all the time is Zapier, because through Zapier, then you can connect it to everything.
Mm-hmm.
But one other thing I really like and I use it a lot of times in the company I'm working for is Google Sites. Because you can so easily embed your tables into Google Sites and then build whole websites around it. And in that way make your content easily accessible, especially in a company, that you can add also a little explanation text and have a link structure to guide a user through your table structure. Because if you just give them access to your table, it's often not self-explaining.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, it's really great to have Google Sites there, because it's so easy to use, and yeah, it makes it a lot easier. I've also a YouTube tutorial on that one, if someone hasn't seen it yet, how to do it. Because the first time I believe I thought it also at Garrett's channel that something like it was possible, and then I just tried it out, and it was so easy. Yeah, it's really a time saver for me, and I use it all the time.
That's awesome. I definitely want to look into that. I actually haven't yet. And that's been a huge thing for me as well, is trying to get people to not be intimidated by it. And if they had some sort of explanation, it would be super helpful. So I will take a look at that
Yeah.
YouTube video for sure.
Oh yeah, you should, because yeah, like I said, you can then also explain how the filter functions work in Airtable, and the group functionality, if you allow users to filter and group stuff, because the logic is a little bit different from what most of the people know. And I believe I mean, most of the people can figure it out by themselves, but yeah, if you can have these explanations, it really makes it easier for the user then.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. I'll definitely take a look at the YouTube channel for sure.
Great.
Yeah.
It has
Um,
only 2 videos at the moment, but I'm working on it to get more onto the in the future as well.
no, that's awesome. That's super, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think now would be a good time to share your screen if you'd like.
Sure, we can do that. Yes.
Perfect.
So let me check that out. Oh, here I can do it. Okay. So now you should be able to see my screen, right?
Yes.
Great. Okay. All right. So as I was asked, what I could do and show here in this podcast, I thought I bring the one case with me I talked about earlier, because in my company, like I said, it's a European company, so we have this problem with commas and dots all the time, and probably there are some more people from Europe out there who need to change this stuff or need to change other stuff in the table. And also another problem that I was facing a lot of times is how to bring how to do automatic exports from Airtable to Microsoft Excel, that people who aren't working with Airtable yet still can have the data in their usual format, and I can still administrate all the data in Airtable. And so that's the use case I thought I'd show today. And so we can jump right in here into this Airtable base. And I just took one of the example Airtable bases you can get from the template section. And like you can see here, it's about different products, like it's in my company as well. And down there, you also have the prices. You can also go into the table section here. And there you can see all the content in there. And in my company, it really looks the same way for our products, that we have structured it that way and have all the options there, if it's in stock or not, and then also the descriptions in there, and also some other stuff. But the challenge I'm facing a lot is then that I have my sales reps asking me, okay, so need to have a product catalog in Excel with all the prices in there, that I can send that to a customer and that he can order from it. And so that's what I tried to automate in Airtable, that I get an Excel list out of it with changed decimal separators, that I have the commas here. So in order to do that, I use a second tool, which is really great, and I believe it's also quite a young startup. It's called Parabola, and they have quite an exciting tool where you can automate different workflows, and it can do really a lot. And the great thing is it has an integration with Airtable as well. So if I go in here, you can sign up for free first, and you can run workflows manually also for free. And then if you want to automate it, then they start pricing you. But I think it's really worth it, or at least the manual function is really great already. And then if you want to use it regularly in your company, then of course it's totally worth paying. Okay, so if we jump right here into Parabola, then you can already see that we first need to start with a source where we bring in our data from. And you can see here that Airtable is already there. So I'll take it onto my screen, and then I have it here, and I can start loading data from Airtable into Parabola, and therefore we use the Airtable API again. So I just double click it once to swap our video window a little bit around here. And of course, I first need to authorize Airtable and Parabola to work together. And I need the API key, and I'll just look it up. And I will change it after the session, no need to try. Okay, so now it's loading. And now I hooked up Airtable to Parabola, and what else we need is the base ID, and you get that from the Airtable API section, and I believe there was a link in there. Yes, so that's the Airtable API section where you can find all the APIs for your bases, and it's all linked there in Parabola that you can easily get there. And here is your Airtable ID that you need once to hook it up. Mm-hmm. And so I take this ID, paste it in here, and then it also asks us about the table name once. And let's see, table name is furniture in that case. So I'll type that in, and then I can show the updated results. And you can now see that it's loading. And now you get here all the content from your Airtable base. The only thing that doesn't work at the moment is reference data that you load in Parabola from linked tables in Airtable. But you can always make a copy in Airtable just with a simple formula then, and then you can also use that. And in my case, it doesn't matter now because we only want the product name, which we have here. And we need the price, which was also somewhere gross sales back there. Oh yeah, here was the price. So that's the only columns I need. And so now I have it in here from my Airtable base, and now I can do all kinds of transforms on my data within Parabola, and that's also a really neat feature. So at first, for example, I want to let's see, I only want to have the columns with product name and price. So I'll add the column filter to filter out all the other columns. And I once have to tell this filter to take the data from Airtable, and therefore you can easily link it with this graphical interface and hook it up here. And now we can already see we have the data Airtable loaded in here, and now I can select columns I want to keep or I want to remove. And in this case, I want to keep the price column, and I want to keep the name column here. And that's all I will need for my price list. So now I can see if it works and update the result. And I can already see, okay, I've got it. And I can go on working on it. So I'll close that. And another thing that wasn't great in here is that I had the price in front of the name, and of course I don't want to have it, and I want to have the name in the front, of course. So therefore, I will go on and swap the columns, and I can also do that here with a column reorder, which is here. And I'll put that on, and it's really like plug and play in here. So I'll add that up, and then you can easily change the order of the different columns. So I'll update that once, and now we should be able to see it. Yes, and so now I have it in the right order. And the only thing I have to do now is the magical step to change the commas. And that works with a simple find and replace function in here. So I can add that here, and again take the data I already have in here, and then I can add some rules here. So now I will select all the commas that are in there already, and I'll replace them by a slash first, and then I will change all the points to commas, and in the end I will then change all the slashes back into points. Yes. So that's the way how it should work. And by the way, if that looks super smart now, I have to admit it wasn't me who found that out, but Parabola also has a really great chat function, and they help you with a lot of stuff there. So that's also a good thing to use then. And now you can see that it already changed all the decimals there. Mm-hmm. And now the only thing I still want to do is to go on and export it to Excel. But unfortunately, you cannot do that right from Parabola. And so I had to find a different step for that. And the way it works is that you start exporting it to Google Sheets first. So I'll add that and hook it up here. And now I bring all the data over there to Google Sheets. Of course, I also need to authorize it first. And so I will select my Google account here and link it. And okay, then I will say create a new file. And then you can also name the file if you would like to do that. And I will just call it price list now. And see, it works. Loads for a second, and that looks good. Okay, and now we can let our workflow run, and therefore we have to publish it here, and we will let it run now for one time. So I click run, and now you can see in here how it performs all the actions step by step, and it tells me it succeeded. And I already opened my Google Drive in here, and you can see over here we have our price list now within the Google Sheet, and we have all the data like we wanted to have it here with the commas in it as well. The cool thing is you can now start also customizing your Google Sheet, and for example having different colors or font sizes and stuff like that. And because you update it all the time, it will stay that way. So you only have to do that once. But as I said before, I wanted to export it to Excel. And now to do that, I then use Zapier, the second great tool I mentioned already. And I opened it already up, and I will just create a new Zap, and therefore use my Google Drive account. So I have to choose the trigger event, and I will do that when I have a new file in Google Drive. You can then also do it just in one folder, which probably makes more sense than if you want to go deeper into it. So I continue here, and we'll see. Now I have to hook up my Google Drive here, load it, okay. And now I can take my file in here. So, okay. Oh yeah, my Google Drive, that's that. And if we go on, we can test it now if it really works and brings it in. That looks great. Okay, we got that. And I think I'll quickly jump back from my seat here to to put on the light because it's getting really dark in Germany. All right, now I'm back, and now you should also be able to see me again.
It's much better.
Great. Okay, so what have we done? We connected it to connected Google Drive, and now we want to export to Box. And I also found that out in the community that you can export from Google Drive to Box, and then that creates an Excel file, which is quite cool. So you just upload the file from Google Drive as soon as there's a new one to Box. And you also have to hook up your Box account again. So I'll do that, and then you can customize the upload file, but you don't have to do a lot here. Just select a file from Google, and you can give a name if you want to, but I think we won't need it here. And let's click continue. Okay, so that looks good. And these cryptic things always mean that Google has found something. So we will test it and continue there. And that looks good. Now we can go into our Box account, which I already have open here. And I believe it also works with Dropbox if you're using that. But otherwise, Box is really great to use there. And yeah, now we can see it already that it worked, and that it got pushed from my drive to Box here. And now I can share this Box link with other people in my company, for example. And in the end, they will just click the link, and then they can download the file here. And if I once again swap our video file there over, then you can see that I get a price list Excel file down here. And so okay, that's privacy. No, I don't want to have that now. Okay, so now it opens up, and here we have our list there with all the commas in there. Yeah, so that's probably quite a specific use case you will mostly need in Europe. But after I found out how it worked, I was really glad that even if it involves a lot of steps, that you can still do it. And the cool thing is then Parabola is you can automate that it runs, for example, every night. And then Zapier, of course, can also be automated to run all the time when there is a new file pushed from Parabola. And so you have a new Excel file there every day, and can give that to all the users who prefer to work with Excel instead of Airtable, for example. Yeah, so that's mainly the case I wanted to share today. But as we talked before about the Airtable Udemy course I have, I just want to show that briefly to you. So that's the Airtable Academy I created, and yeah, I will show you a lot more cases how you can work with Airtable, learn Airtable, and then also in the second step work with Zapier to get it up and running. And yeah, on Udemy courses usually are a bit pricey, but the cool thing is there are a lot of discount campaigns they do on there. And also, if we can do that and we'll manage it, then we will include a discount link for all of you podcast listeners here in the podcast as well. That it will be only a couple of bucks for you then. So yes, that's basically the case I wanted to show you today here. Do you have any questions about it? I hope it wasn't too fast to show all of it because it involves so many steps.
No, I think you did a great job, and that is, I'm very impressed by that program, Parabola. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome, and I believe it's also quite new. And these guys just started, and you can also see it if you if I go back to draft ones. They include new features here each week, and you can see it here with the little beta labels they have on it. And every second week there are a lot of new betas on it, and there you can really bring your data together from a lot of different sources, and then automate them in all different kinds. And it's a tool like Airtable. It's really easy to use, and really everybody can use it without knowing anything about programming. And that's what I love about it, and brings it for me to the same league where Airtable is as well.
Absolutely. It's very straightforward, and the interface reminds me of Integromat, but it looks a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Like a lot easier than Integromat.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, they were really good with their intention, but got lost somewhere on the way. And this one is still neat and clean, and I really hope they will keep it also if the tool matures and they add more functionality to it over time. Yes.
Absolutely. I love that you can pull in the entire table and just modify that data like that. That's something I've never been able to do easily.
Yes, and it's awesome. It also has a great functionality to merge data from different tables, for example, and also do lookups and stuff like that. And also a lot of people who are working with Smartsheet, which is the other big tool like Airtable, I believe. With that, you can even bring together Airtable and Smartsheet and combine data. And you can also push data back to Airtable in the end. So technically that also solves the problem that you can't link bases together at the moment in Airtable, because you could also do that through Parabola. And therefore I really love it. And I mean, you have so much workspace here. You can include so many steps in there. And what I did here was probably not even worth using their tool, because they have a lot of samples in there. To see if I can find one quickly. But there they really show you how to use their tool, and they build really complex automation workflows to automate even the whole email campaigns and stuff. Well, that was the forum, that was not it. Let's try it once again. But I think my internet could. There it is. Oh yeah, here are some examples. Here you can see how they, for example, use Webflow CMS, where they then have really a lot of steps in there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, but it's really cool because it's so straightforward, and you can really do it step by step and always look, okay, that step works and that one works. And then you can just go on with the next one. And therefore, even if they get such a complex monster out of it in the end, it's really easy to build it up. So that's definitely a tool I can recommend to check out as well, besides Airtable.
I will absolutely be checking that out. That looks like a really great tool.
Yeah, definitely is.
Well, thank you. I think it's very straightforward. And I mean, you said it had a lot of steps, but you really only have to do those steps once, and then it's done, and you can just
Sure, yes. Yeah. And that's a cool thing. I really like these automations. If you set something up and it works in the end, I think that's always a great feeling then. And with Parabola, you can really easily do that, and then also bring it together with Airtable, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's very impressive. I'm definitely gonna write that one down.
Great. Yeah, I believe they can also use a lot more users, and hopefully they should have them, because I really love it and I want to go on using it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today, Tobi.
Thank you so much for having me here. I really love your podcast, and it's really great each week to have the new episode there. and I'm always looking forward to it. And I'm already excited for all of the other great episodes you will bring out, and all the great people you always find to talk about their Airtable use cases. And I think that's really astonishing how many people you already found who are using Airtable in some ways in their companies, and you can always learn something from that, I think.
It's crazy, right? That's definitely one thing I love about BuiltOnAir and Airtable as a whole, is that every person has a different story and they're all in different industries, and you can learn so much about just different people and different jobs, and it's wonderful.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. No, it's great. And thank you so much. I've really enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you.
Of course.